when you look at everything that you've done wrong in life, you can also look at, okay, if my children notice about me, like a lot of times we hide the bad things from our children and our grandchildren and people we don't want to know certain things in our life. But if we will
Sure.
stand up and be bold about letting people know those things, they will look at it as, you know what, if they did it, I can do it too.
Welcome to the UMGC podcast, Unstoppable Stories, with your host, Nathan James.
All right, everybody. I am here with Gavata Smith. She is on today. She's actually a project manager who is currently pursuing her bachelor's degree in applied technology with multiple certificates as well, including data analytics, project management, information systems. And she's graduating this upcoming semester. So I'm happy for you. Lights at the end of the tunnel, Javeda. How are you feeling? How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm excited about my future. So I'm doing great.
That's great. Well, I mean, and it's great to have you on. Thank you for sharing time and your journey with us today. We'll jump right in. So I know you grew up in the DC metro area, and you're raised by your grandparents, whose ministry, they had a ministry that spanned many states. How did that upbringing shape your sense of purpose and responsibility?
Well, my grandparents were very, very, very serious about education. So, despite bottlenecks through life, I always knew that their purpose, their foundation, what they wanted for my life was to be educated and to love God. It was two things: educated and love God.
1, 2, 1, 2. How about
One,
that?
two, one, two.
And and you stuck with it, right? Oh,
Yeah, I
wow.
mean, I got off path quite a few times along the way, but those things were they laid the foundation of who I am and who I am continually growing to be, and who I will eventually become um, later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you have a quote, you had said, earlier, something to the effect of, for every moment of darkness, there's been a moment of light that follows right after,
Absolutely.
and that's characterized a lot of your story. Okay. Well, so by age 21, you had 4 children. What did that early motherhood, uh, that season of motherhood teach you, about resilience and your identity?
Well, so by the time I was 17, slated to walk across the stage, I was pregnant with my third child. So that was challenging in that I had gone against my Christian beliefs. Of course, family was upset, but it made me know that I needed to be educated because it was the foundation of who I wanted my children to be. So, despite everything, I needed to continue on this education path. And what was funny, it seemed like as long as I was pregnant, my grades were up. I had a 3.9 GPA in high school. So, as long as I was pregnant, my grades were up. But despite it all, no matter what I did, I always remembered that I have to behave, and like I said, I still had some challenges, but I wanted my children to be able to honor and know who I am and who I was. Like, oh, my mother went through this, but look who she is now. So I
Hmm.
think that your setbacks can be a setup for your come up, right?
Hmm.
I think that when you look at everything that you've done wrong in life, you can also look at, okay, if my children notice about me, like a lot of times we hide the bad things from our children and our grandchildren and the people we don't want to know certain things in our life. But if we will
Sure.
stand up and be bold about letting people know those things, they will look at it as, you know what, if they did it, I can do it too. And so I always tell even my grandchildren, look at what's in your bloodline. Look at what's in your bloodline, and you know that you can get past anything that happens in your life.
Yeah, I hear you. It's so easy to focus on image preservation. I'm gonna keep my image, right?
Right,
I
right,
want folks
right.
to think of me a certain way. But that transparency, like you said, it could be exactly what others need, especially as they see you evolve, as they see you improve, and they see you go from one height to the next, right? Okay. I'm tracking with that. Um let's go to your career path a little bit, okay? Because clearly you turned things around. You ended up landing your first government contracting job. I understand you began as an executive assistant and HR coordinator. Um, how did that role open that door though for you to a career in technology?
Okay. So initially, I managed my first government contract back in 2003 when
Okay.
I was just an associate at Kinko's Copies. When can you remember Kinko's? Before FedEx bought them out, I was associate at Kinko's Copies, became a manager at Kinko's Copies, and somebody from Pitney Bowes Government Solutions, actually the vice president, walked in, noticed my customer service, noticed how I was running processes in there, and kind of recruited me and said, "Hey,
Oh, I love that.
would you like to come over and learn about this?" Unfortunately, I did not stick with it. Like I said, I had a lot of children. Life was life, and I was young. I really didn't understand a lot of responsibility at that age, right? I think by then I was on my second marriage, maybe. So I really didn't grind my heels to the wheel the way I wish I would have, right? But I still learned. Fast forward to 2018, I applied for an EA position at a tech firm in McLean, Virginia, and I was the HR coordinator, and I was the CEO's assistant. The CEO and COO of that company was husband and wife. Is eventually I wind up supporting all of the 9 C-suite executives in that firm. It allowed me to hear things I probably never should have heard, to know things I probably never should have known. But one day the HR director left. That left me writing offer letters. So I'm thinking, how in the world are these kids coming in making this much money? So it's no need of what they say. If you can't beat them, join them. I dived in. I started hanging out, learning what they learned. I started wanting what they had. It's no need of, disliking people. Learn what they're learning. And so I dived in. And then I had some great people that I had befriended, and they was like, "Oh, you're a scrum master." Some people didn't believe in me. They did. They pushed me. And after that, I took off.
Okay. And part of the ways you've been able to excel is through earning a number of certifications.
22,
I understand
22 industry
22.
cert,
Okay,
22 certs,
there it is.
and working on my ITIL V4 now.
Look
So,
at that.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
number
sounds
23
like you're
loading.
number 23 is a good number. That's Michael Jordan's number. And whenever I hear 23, I got to say that. But it sounds like you're going to have 100 by the time it's all said and done. But bring me into why you've been so intentional in investing in these credentials.
So, in the GovCon market, you have to stay two things: relevant and marketable. So, as much as you may have a great career, a great firm, this is a growing industry. I found that a lot of people in this industry, they become complacent. And so they'll get their PMP and stop. Well, now this is a result of the market you see today, right? They got their PMP, they stayed at a public trust, and now they're stuck because that's what everybody is. So why didn't you seek in that company to get a higher clearance? Why didn't you get more? So because I help people with their resumes, I kind of research job descriptions. So now what the market is saying is, hey, with your PMP, we want the ITIL cert, or with your Scrum Master cert, we want a safe cert. So if these are your wheelhouses, get in, dig in, and jump into it. Keep yourself, invest in yourself.
So to do that, you have to have, I think, really good time management skills because if you're continually adding on these credentials while as you're doing, you're working full time. Um, you have school, you got family. So how do you structure your life, right? Your daily life in such a way where you're not burning out?
So, two words: Outlook and Alexa.
Outlook and Alexa. I got it.
so, so
I
my
was thinking about this.
calendar,
No, we're good.
my calendar
Mhm.
is my best friend. I have Netflix on my calendar. Do not call me during my Netflix time. I take time out for Javeda. I take time out to do the things that I like to do, and I take time out to do nothing. And so I think it's important to say, okay, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm going to dive in and get all of this class works done. On Thursday and Fridays, I'm getting all this classwork done. And you have to stick to that schedule. You may have to deviate sometime, but you need to allow yourself that bandwidth to understand when you need to do something different and have that availability.
So, one of the projects you have is a YouTube channel, right? You have a unique YouTube channel. So talk to us about what type of content you make, and how does it help you express yourself and to provide lessons for others.
So my YouTube channel is broken down into different playlists. So one of the things I love to do in ministry is I'm a Christian mime. So um, the song I can't sing. Don't ask me to sing, you'll put me out of any venue. And so mime is it allows expressive dance, it's therapeutic, and I really can dig into certain songs and express myself that way. So I have a mime playlist. Other than that, I have a playlist called Employment Tips, Trends, and Tricks, where I teach people in 5 minute intervals. I know people don't like sitting listening to long things about different tricks in the market. Like people didn't know that there's a difference in certificates and certifications. So they think because they got a
Yeah,
certificate, they
I
have a
see that.
certification. It's not
Yeah,
the same. People don't take
yeah,
advantage of their employment benefits. Like they're giving you the money, use it, right? Um, People see a job description and they are thinking, "Oh, I can hop on an interview." When you get in that interview, that those people are listening for keywords to know that you know that business. So if you're on there for a scrum master, you better be talking agile. If you're on there for project and portfolio management, you need to be talking everything that's in the PMBOK. So people miss that. And now with AI, scanning resumes and things like that, your resume needs to be full of the keywords that show your industry and what you're capable of. And I always tell them, don't lie because people will ask you questions you don't know, but be always honest and make sure your resume is inundated with those words who speak to your profession.
yeah, yeah. Those are great tips already. So you gave a taste for your channel. Okay, well, it's a quick way to find your channel, just for listeners who want to check that
First
out.
and last name, Javeda Smith, YouTube.
Uh-huh. Javeda Smith, YouTube.
YouTube.
You got it. Yeah, there it is, everybody. And by the way, we are speaking with just if you're listening, we're speaking with Javeda Smith on Unstoppable Stories. And if you want to hear more stories like this as you're listening, don't forget to like or subscribe. Okay, and we're here for you. Okay, plenty of great content. We're gonna keep it going. You're also an author. You're the author of Get Yourself Together First, right? Which talks about uh, yeah, which talks about your journey, including your mother's addiction, your healing, and your journey. Uh, so, can you talk about why writing this book was important for you, and what you want readers to take away from that?
So the book was so first of all, Get Yourself Together First was a great healing tool for my mom and I. I wear my mother's sobriety like a diamond ring. I will tell anybody if my mother can get clean, anybody can do anything. My mother was an addict for 24 years and I love her today like she raised me from birth, right? I would do anything for my mother today. I would lay down my life for my mother today. It does not matter what those 24 years look like. The forgiveness is it was her getting herself together first that made me forgive her. So what I need people to understand is addicts have a story about why they did what they did or how they got where they got. But the problem is we as the family block a lot of their healing because we won't forgive, we won't trust, we won't give them the opportunity. So it's to let people know that you can forgive. I don't care what they did. And if you read my book, there's some things that my mom and I went through, but you can get past it no matter how ugly, dirty, filthy, and disrespectful it may have looked. You can get past that. You can get past it.
Now, you also are do prolific. No, I mean, yep. I mean, because you want to let that resonate, right? I almost don't know move on too fast. Because everybody's got a story. Just picture somebody in your mind that it's really difficult to forgive them, and it may seem impossible, like you couldn't get
and
there.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I have
Yeah.
not dotted every I and crossed every T with my children. In fact, I've made some terrible mistakes. And I will say this. You have to look at what we say, what the universe gives, what goes around comes around, reaping and sowing, right? The same thing. This is very serious. The same thing you won't forgive your parents for, you expect your children to forgive you for. So if you expect forgiveness, you have to give forgiveness. That's all.
There you go. That's a word. That's a word. For someone needed to hear. I know. Well, hey, so you've done prolific outreach work, right? I know that's one of your passions, and so let's open up that box, okay? Including mentoring women and educating on domestic violence, okay? So how did you discover this calling, right? And you ended up integrating that with your professional path. How did that happen?
So, I guess I'll start with mentoring women. Um, we all have a need. We all have, like I said, dark spaces, things we've been through. I was blessed to be asked by a woman who goes in Jessup, Maryland, who does the Purpose Driven Life class there, if I would be interested in becoming a full time volunteer. But prior to that, I would go in every year for their Women's Moving Forward conference, helping women to understand that they can get a job, they can live right, they can do something different. So I was a part of this committee called the Women's Moving Forward Committee with a lot of retired judges of the state of Maryland. And I would assist with that conference every year. And I loved sharing and what the women might want to know, what they can know, how to convey this information. I became a badge volunteer through Catholic Charities to also assist with mentoring those incarcerated women. So I enjoy looking at people as people, not as what they've done. And that's why a lot of people can't get over a lot of things, because people look at them for their past, not who they are and what's inside. So I love that. At my church, my pastor instituted, like, if somebody comes to the altar, joins, asks for prayer, he instituted a ministry called the Connectors. So instead of following the script like I'm supposed to and say, "Hi, this is Evangelist Chiveda, and I'm calling for whatever," I call people and I go, "Hey, this is Vay. I'm calling from Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church. How you doing today? We just want to know how you feeling over there. What's going on with you? Can I pray for you? You got food? You got stuff for your kids?" And within 5 minutes, people would just open up about whatever was going on in their homes, their domestic situations, their hurt, the abuse, the whatever. So I run to my pastor and I'm like, "Hey, we have a bunch of women who are going through this thing." And so I'm like, "We had a domestic violence ministry. What happened to him?" He's been our pastor now 1 2 years. But he was like, I was like, "Can I start it again?" "Go for it." So I call UMGC. I'm like, hey, I got some elective classes. Can I get in a domestic violence class? Because I would wanted to make sure that, and I'm a victim of domestic violence. I've been beat on several relationships, marriages, what have you. I don't live in it. I don't really talk about it, but I understand it. But I dived in, went to UMGC, and they put me in a domestic violence course, which I got 100 in, a A. Let me just be, you know, clear and say that. And I learned that domestic violence isn't what we used to think domestic violence is. That what we think domestic violence is now called intimate partner violence. And that domestic violence is now what the children suffer when they're watching it, and the elderly parents and what the families go through. So they let me rebirth the domestic violence ministry at Greater Mount Calvary, and we just had a successful month. We just had a successful domestic violence awareness month, with different organizations from the DC metro area coming in, sharing information with our community, not just the church.
Wow. Huh. Now let's veer back over to your career path as you've, joined the intelligence community. Uh, right. You joined the intelligence community, took on a role there, and were introduced as a knowledge manager on day one. On day one. And how did you step into that new title and pivot to succeed? There's a story there. Okay. So,
So I was hired. I promise you, my
yeah.
offer letter says program office support specialist. So I think I'm going to stand up a PMO, program management office. Walk in the door, they say, "Hey, this is a new knowledge manager." I'm like, "Really?" So they're in the middle of like contract ending, recompete, all kind of contests. They're in the middle of all kinds of contract stuff. So I knew better than to tell the stakeholders in the government, I am not a knowledge manager. So I said, sure. And I smiled, and I'm go back to my computer. I'm like, what is a knowledge manager? What does they do? So I started going on big tech sites and printing out all the job descriptions for knowledge managers. Once again, here I am leaning on UMGC. Hey, you got a knowledge management class? And picked up another elective. They threw me in the knowledge management class, which I also got an A in. But what's interesting about that is I'm in the intelligence community. I have no access to fluid internet. So there's no AI helping me. So what I'm learning at night, I'm coming back instituting in the intelligence community in the day. So I'm literally learning it and implementing, learning and implementing. And so where a lot of us learn skills and then have to go back and unlearn the wrong way, they're getting the straight up book knowledge that I'm learning at night, and I'm coming back in, and the directors were have been overwhelmed. Oh my goodness, we've never seen this. We've never had that done. We did not know that you could do this across 6 different divisions in the department. So I wear that UMGC badge proud that you all taught me how to do my job
Hmm.
while doing the job.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's meaningful. Oh.
I mean, listen, I got doged in February. I was
Mm,
late the day after I closed on my new home. I got walked off the job at the VA. So that was devastating.
same day? Oh,
The
okay.
day, I mean, the day, so it was I didn't know whether to be happy for being a first time homeowner or to be sad because I didn't have a job. Um, and so I finally landed on my feet in July with getting the job in this intelligence community. Crazy part, I had just got my TS SCI right before I left the VA. So I just had to come over and do my counterintelligence polygraph. So worked out well for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that worked out really well. Look, I hope
Yeah.
all that comes together. And when you have a dark moment, it's funny how that sets up. What'd you say about the
Setbacks
setup?
were set up for my come up. Yes.
Setbacks were set up. That was a perfect example of it right there.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now look, one of my favorite things about you and your story is uh your fervency for volunteer work, right? I look up to that. You won the Volunteer of the Month at UMGC for your service, right? For your efforts. And so it's a two-part question. One, what did that recognition mean to you to be named as a Volunteer of the Month? So we'll start there and then I'll ask my part two question.
So for me, it just meant, and I guess it's a good churchy side of me, well done, my good and faithful
That's
servant.
good.
Because somebody saw it
Mm.
and they recognized it. I didn't apply for it, I didn't ask for it. Somebody saw it and they recognized it. And so when I volunteer, I do things from a very genuine place. It's passionate for me. I don't do it for sign offs or credits. I do the things I like to do because I'm passionate about it.
That's a personal note for me, right? I aspire to be more and more and a better volunteer. So like from a personal standpoint, when we live in a so it's easy to focus on, hey, I have enough trouble on my own. You know what I mean? I have enough fires I'm trying to put out, on my own track where it can feel difficult, not just to have the time, but also to feel like you have the capacity to reach out and do volunteer work on the side. So, what do you say to somebody like me that's struggling with, that might struggle with the time management side of it, like trying to make sure you're fitting in a good amount for volunteer work to do good out there, but also just having the capacity in your heart to really care about those things, especially when you feel like your life is already full, potentially with challenges, tough and good challenges, tough
So
challenges.
do volunteer work that don't feel like work. So one of the things I love to do is help people. Started out with veterans, but help people rework their resumes, find jobs that, I've been a hiring manager, program manager, I just love helping veterans. And like it's challenging for me to rework resumes. I like doing it. I like sitting on the computer, messing around with words and putting things together. It's a passion for me. So it doesn't feel like volunteering, right? The other part of it is so for me, I can't speak for everybody else. Um, everybody has dark days, days that aren't so good, and I believe mental health is real, right? The way I fight depression is pouring myself into other people. If I see myself achieving, whether it's school, helping other people get jobs, helping people just be happy about the resume I just sent them, giving somebody a word of encouragement inside of a prison. If I see myself doing that, it makes me happy to make other people happy. And therefore, I'm not sitting in a depressive state.
That makes sense. I'm tracking. Tracking. All right. You are infectious too. I love it. Okay. Last question. If you could go back, all right, and speak to the younger version of yourself, all right, little Javeda, okay, what would you say to her, knowing all that you do now?
um, So I would say not to have children so early, but I wouldn't want to miss having children. And the fun part for me is because I had children early, I'm still a young grandmother. And so I get to have fun with my grandchildren. And so hopefully God will let me live. I can see them get married and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't take away the children piece, but I would take away um trying to feel validated by men, trying to feel validated by relationships. I was in a place in my life where I felt I had to buy people and buy friends and keep up with the Joneses. So I definitely would say for somebody to give me better money management tools and help me to get back on the teach me more responsibility. Like I would have wanted to be more responsible, whether it was my education, my finances, my career path. The responsibility piece is absolutely clean.
Thank you, Javeda. Thank you. That's really good. And uh, folks, Javeda Smith, everybody. Uh, Javeda, thanks for taking time with us today and sharing your journey so poignantly and beautifully. Uh, Loved having you on.
I enjoy being here. I love UMGC, and I will be back for my Cyber Masters in 2027. UMGC! Woo!
No, so yeah, Javed, thank you. And you're passionate, you're infectious for life. I can see, the good that you leave on those around you and your volunteer capacities and your professional capacity. Like I said it before, infectious. And so, thank you for being inspiration to me, to our listeners. And we're looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you even more. I know it's super bright. So
Thank
thanks
you.
again. And I want to say thank you to our audience too. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you like and make sure that you subscribe. And remember, you can go back and look at previous seasons, episodes on your preferred podcast channel. Okay. And so we're here for you in the past and we're here for you in the future. Okay. With more unstoppable stories. We'll see you next time.